Hello guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to present you the right way to load games, audio files from digital devices like this 4 gig MP3 digital player, which is a very convenient way to do that because of course we cannot use tapes anymore. We have extra capacity using SD cards here on the side, lightweight, and the quality is great. And so I was struggling for quite some time to do that via my mobile phone using some old tape emulators for the audio output, but it wasn't great, and I had problems with the stereo cable because ZX Spectrum, ZX81, and all the computers from that era used to have mono jacks, 3.5 millimeter mono jacks, and so I have seen incompatibility and it gave me trouble. So today I'm going to use these earphone jack here, headphones output. I'm going to construct a cable the way I see it, and hopefully I can test it and load up some games onto the Spectrum the right way, and from now on all these 4 gigs inside this device will be dedicated to games from the 8-bit computers. I have quite a few tapes around here, but they are getting old and unreliable over time. So in order to preserve them and play the best way that you can is to download images from the internet. These so-called images are actually audio files in WAV or Windows audio video file or MP3. So you can download pure digital audio. For starters, I went to the Zignet, and I'm going to download some audio files, some games in audio format, in both formats, MP3 and WMV as well. And in the past I have created a special folder for ZX81 too. So here we have some WAV files for ZX81 and a new folder here for ZX Spectrum with some MP3 files like Manic Miner and Frogger and stuff. And this is the folder structure inside the music folder of this device. So we have some stuff already transferred to this MP3 player, and we're going to test the formats, the output, the volume level, and if we can successfully load games onto the ZX Spectrum. But most of all, we will try to find out which is the right connection for the cable, because I have already tested mono to mono connection on the back of the Spectrum ear input, and this device's headphones output. Mono to mono didn't work, and then I switched to stereo, and the stereo on this side and stereo on the back of the Spectrum inside the ear socket didn't work. And so finally I got this picture to put everything in place, and so we have the stereo type of jack that 0.3, which actually is the ring, didn't get in any contact with the Spectrum. Only the sleeve and the tip are actually getting in contact with the Spectrum's input. And I think we can try the experiment in real conditions and using real components. So we have a mono jack here and a stereo type of jack here, and we have a motherboard of a ZX Spectrum, the one I'm using for experimentation around here. And simply, if you can just try to understand, only this contact gets on the sleeve and this one gets on the tip. It's a mono type of connection and socket. And if we try to do the same with the other jack, the stereo kind of type of jack. It's the same thing. The one in the middle, the ring, gets in contact with nothing, so it's kind of useless, but it is needed for the stereo device, the MP3 player, whatever kind of player you might have. And so I was playing around with these connections and these jacks. I thought that the best way to construct a cable from scratch in order to load games from a digital device to the good old little Spectrum is to use both types of jacks. The stereo type of jack from the output of the MP3 player, leaving the ring in the middle, like not connected state. And this of course means that we are leaving out one of the channels, so in real life what we have is still mono sound coming out, but the device is fooled like it is something stereo connected on the player. But this doesn't affect the quality of the audio file to be transferred to the Spectrum, because actually what Spectrum expects to have is mono sound coming in. Oh, and by the way, the stereo type of jack is also called the TRS type of jack, which stands for tip, ring and sleeve. That's quite interesting, isn't it? So with all these in mind and with no further delay, I have constructed this cable. The stereo part here is handmade, custom made. The sleeve is connected like ground. The ring is actually not connected, and the tip holds the signal. On the other side, the ZX Spectrum side, is the mono type of jack, which actually has only the tip that holds the signal and the ground, actually what we call the sleeve. And so we have one for each side. I put the labels here to indicate which connector is to be connected on which device. And then I came up with something like another finding is like MP3 files cannot be loaded because the output is too low. And I think this is something that has to do with this specific MP3 player, which cannot actually have the right high volume level that the Spectrum wants to have. And so I have converted the MP3 files using this wonderful piece of software. It is called the OTLA. I don't know if you are aware of that. I'm pretty sure we can dedicate an episode over this tool, this converter, which is used for many 8-bit computers, as you can see: Amstrad, MSX, ZX81 and Sinclair Spectrum. On top of that, the OTLA makes a turbo loader for HWAV file. And I'm really so looking forward to testing it, because supposedly this turbo loader can load up a game on the Spectrum in less than 30 seconds. And I want to see this, and I want to try this. And I will begin with one of the most notorious games. The MP3 player says Manic Miner needs 25 seconds, like in WAV format, to be loaded on the Spectrum. And we are doing this in real time, and it's really amazingly fast. And we have Manic Miner loaded in 25 seconds. That's amazing. That's great. OTLA is great. Okay, let's try another game. We have Jetpack in just 18 seconds. And I think I missed the point here. I got swept away by this turbo loader feature. But I really think that I need to go over this OTLA loader in some other future episode soon, because it's fantastic. You can convert, you can do whatever you wish with ROM images, and create WAV and MP3 audio files. The point, of course, was to construct a customized cable for the ZX Spectrum to be used with any digital device, stereotype device, and load games from it. And it looks like we did it just right. We can load games from an old and cheap MP3 player onto the ZX Spectrum or any kind of 8-bit micro from the 80s that used to have cassette player and used regular cassettes for loading games. The idea is really simple, as we still get mono sound coming from a stereo type of jack on the side of the player and a mono type of jack on the side of the computer, and it's a mixed thing that should be loading games nicely from any modern stereo source of digital equipment onto the 8-bit machines from the 80s. And I think I'll be spending the rest of this evening converting images from games to WAV files, audio files, and play. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this stuff, consider subscribing, and I'll be catching you soon with another video, another repair demo or review. Bye for now. Thank you.